CSS Media Queries are a way to target browser by setting characteristics, features, and user preferences. Then you can now apply styles or run other code-based things on those particular characteristics, features, or preferences. So CSS Media Queries also helps you to achieve responsiveness of a website across all device types with the use of specified breakpoints. So now media queries can be used in HTML, can be used in CSS, can be used in JavaScript, but CSS is the most common place to support a media query. They go right in the style sheet in an @media rule that wraps the elements with conditions for when and where to apply a set of styles when a browser matches those conditions. What this means is that media queries allows you to use this particular syntax, this type of syntax, to target a particular viewport um, or device, the screen of a device, to achieve different styling compared to your original styles, just to fit in user preferences. Okay, so a media query syntax will normally look like this. You have your @media. You can decide to use only screen. There are also other options like print, like read and only screen. There are a lot of that, you can check on it, but for websites that you want to build, you most likely be using only screen, or sometimes you can even scrap this and just use @media, then use your property, your viewport property, and begin to style. Whatever styling that you now put within here will only take effect when the declaration you made here has been reached. That is, for example, this one is @media only screen min width 768 pixel. That is, any device that has the minimum width of 768 pixels up and above. So if you have a phone that has a viewport, a view width of 768 pixel or 769 or 780 till 2 million, even though there's no 2 million view width. What I'm saying is, whatever device you're using, so far it is more than 768, that is from 768.1, whatever style that you give it here would take effect on that device. Okay, instead of okay, so instead of min width, there are also other properties you can use, like max width. You can also use range of values, like, okay, you want a particular styling to take effect on screens that are between, let's say, 320 to 480 pixels. You don't want it to take effect on other screens from 289 or from 219 pixel downwards, and from 481 pixel upward. Any style that is within here will not take effect. So that's how you can use media queries and breakpoints to specify stylings based on device screens and width, or based on a particular viewport of a particular device. Another thing is, it is not just width that you can target. You can also target height. You can use min height. You can use max height. You can target other features, like you can also target other features. So let's move forward. Now let's talk about breakpoints. Now in CSS, breakpoints are those points that you add in your code that makes a website content respond to the styling that you give to this point. Okay, this helps in displaying an ideal layout to the end user. CSS breakpoints are used along with media query, due to which it is also known as CSS Media Query breakpoints. So if you're saying CSS breakpoints, if you're saying CSS Media Query breakpoints, you're still talking about the same thing. So now, in other terms, CSS breakpoints are pixel values that a developer can specify in a CSS code. Like I mentioned earlier, it is just like an adjustment, a little bit of changes that you can give a particular breakpoint to effect on a particular device. Okay, so it gives a pleasant user experience when a responsive website encounters such pixel values. Okay, now CSS breakpoints are also quite useful for creating responsive web design, as it offers an awesome user experience on different screen sizes. That is, you can decide to do different things on different screen sizes. They can view your website on your phone and it looks completely different from how it looks on your laptop. Okay, that's what media queries can do for you. I mean, your CSS breakpoints as well. Now, this is realized by splitting designs into smaller versions of the website based on the device screen sizes. That is, you have varying designs, do different designs based on a particular screen. Most people don't like to go through the hassle of that. They just create for desktop, tablet, and let's say mobile in most cases. Now, how do you set a CSS breakpoint? There are two approaches to apply your there are two approaches to apply your breakpoints. You have the first one, the device-based breakpoint, and the content-based breakpoint. Now, let's talk about the device-based breakpoint. The device-based breakpoint is when you select your media queries based on the devices the website will be rendered on. Imagine you want your website to be rendered on iPhone 12, iPhone 10, Samsung S10, Samsung S12, and which they have different viewports and view heights. It is very possible for you to start designing your website based on each of the viewports and view heights, but it is quite strenuous and it is not like the most preferable solution or approach, because new devices are released every day and applying the same breakpoints repeatedly to every device can turn out to be a lot more work than you think. Okay, so that's why I would not suggest that you do this for every device. Instead, another thing you could do is you can set the breakpoints for common device groups instead. So, like for very small screen devices, you can say max width 595 pixel. The screens that are not so small, say 600 pixels. That's, you can still do this, but there is a better approach, which is the content-based breakpoints. Now, this is when you use the website's content for covering more scenarios of applying CSS breakpoints. That is, you you check you use your Google tools. There is a tool in Google Chrome that allows you to inspect different your website content based on different screens. So you check at what screen does the content in your website begin to misbehave? At what screen did they begin to misalign and did not look good to users? So you can use that to know when you're supposed to use a particular breakpoint. This approach, we kind of set breakpoints at every point where the website content is misaligning, and this method kind of simplifies the implementation of media queries. So this is an example of using content-based breakpoints for different screen sizes. So you can say for resolutions of 768 pixels and above, that is using main width. You can then style your whatever you want to style in here. Then for resolutions between 768 pixel and 968 pixel, that's if you want to use range of you can also do that with content-based breakpoints. Now we have common breakpoints in CSS. You are not what do they call it? You're not restricted to these values, but these values can give you like a guide on the kind of breakpoints values that you can use. Okay, so for mobile devices, most of them are always within the range of 320 pixels to 480 pixels. Then iPads to tablets are within the range of 481 to 768 pixels. Small screens of laptops are between 769 to 1024 pixels. Desktops and large screens start from 1025 pixels and 12 pixels. Then extra large screen TVs and all that start from 1201 pixels and more. These are like guides that you can use when you are trying to use your content-based breakpoints. When you see that, okay, your content is beginning to break at a particular point, you can now use these guidelines to choose the point at which you want to start studying your media queries. So this is the introductory part into the media queries. We are going to see the practical use of media queries in our code just after this. Welcome back, guys. So in this video we'll be talking about media queries and creating a responsive website, and we'll be working on this website that we built the last time we created a video. So currently this website is not responsive. If we inspect and check through some devices that we have in our Google Chrome, we'll notice that in some of the devices this website keeps breaking, and that's really bad for user experience. So we're going to use media queries. We're going to talk about how we can use media queries, breakpoints in CSS to create this to make this website responsive. So here we have range of devices that we can use to test our responsiveness. This dimension is for Galaxy Note 3. You have iPhone. This is for iPhone 12 Pro. It's still broken in all of these screens. You have for tablets. You have iPad Mini, still broken. We have for very small viewports like this where is it, Galaxy Fold. Yeah, it's very small. As you can see, this is 280 view width, so it's a very small screen that you can use to check for your responsiveness, and of course it is still broken with this. So moving on, we're going to be talking about we're going to be seeing how we can use the media queries that we've talked about to make this website responsive. So let's get into our code. So we're still going to be using the old code. We're just going to be making some little changes and using media queries to make it responsive. So the first thing we want to do is the nav. Let me make this smaller so you can see. Okay, so I'm going to bring the live server tab close to my code so we can see the changes as we code. So now let's go live and see how this looks like right now. Okay, so it is still broken because it's a smaller width to what we created before. Okay, so now the first thing we want to do is the nav. We're going to be using the content-based breakpoint. So as you can see, the nav is obviously broken in this screen. So we're going to try to fix that. So the first thing we want to do is create a separate nav for mobile and tablets, okay? And to do that, we'll have to create a different div for that. Here we're going to have a div or menu. Okay, inside our menu, we want to have another div called, and we're going to name it drop down. So let's do dot drop down. Okay, inside our drop down, we're going to be using a font, a menu font. Sorry, a menu icon. So I use Iconify. You have different icon libraries that you can use, but personally I use Iconify. And to use Iconify, you have to you have to import their CDN into your code. And to do that, let's um let's look for Iconify. Yeah. Then you have to get their CDN, and this is it. This right here is their CDN. So I'm just going to copy this, then come to my code and place it just by the end of the body tag, not outside the body tag, but just by the end. So I'm just going to paste it here. So we have the Iconify CDN imported into our code. So now we can use any font, any icon rather, any icon from Iconify. So now I want to get a menu bar icon. So what I'm just going to do is click on browse icon in Iconify. Then I get access to many icons um, from different sources in Iconify. So I'm just going to search for the name of the icon that I'm looking for. So let's just call this menu and search. So we have different search icons, sorry, menu icons that we can choose from. And I don't know which one should I go for. I think I'm going to go for this one. Yeah, this one looks good. So it gives us access to the HTML code that's going to give us this exact icon, and we're just going to copy that and paste it where we want it to be. And here we want it to be in our drop down, so I'm just going to paste it here. Okay, so that's it about getting icons from Iconify. Now let's go back to our page. um, yeah, so we're back to our page. So here we have the icon, the menu icon already displaying on the screen. Definitely we do not want it like this with the home, about, and everything popping with each other, so we're still going to fix that. Let's focus on creating the separate div for the tablet and mobile. So now after this icon, what we want to do is create another UL. Sorry. Inside the drop down, we are creating a UL with the class of drop down content. Sorry, drop down content. And I'm just going to copy the exact same thing we have here, because that's the same thing we want to have in our mobile view. So I'm just okay, I need to okay. So yeah, we have this already set up, but we initially used UL, just UL for desktop view, and if we do not use a different class for it to differentiate between this one and the mobile UL, you'll be having conflicting classes, styles rather, you're having conflicting classes, styles, what am I saying classes? Conflicting styles, okay? You'll be having conflicting styles. So we're going to just give this URL a class name. Let's give it, no, sorry, not nav, URL. So we're going to give it a class of menu list. Yeah, and that's that about all the changes we need to make in our HTML. Now let's go to our style.css and begin styling. So of course, the first thing we want to do is we want to change this URL to the menu list, since we changed the class. And okay, so see how this is displaying. The URL for the mobile and the URL for the desktop are both appearing on the screen, and we do not want that. So obviously we do not want this mobile URL to appear on desktop. So what we're going to do is target the old URL, I mean the old mobile menu, and make sure that it's not reflecting on desktop view. So we're going to do, we gave it a class of menu, so we're just going to do menu and give it a display of none. So that should get rid of that. Okay, so we're back to our initials. Now the next thing we want to do is now the next thing we want to do is now the next thing we want to do is start our media query styling. So If we maximize this now and let's inspect this and see where we are having issues and um, the places where the content are misaligned, so we can fix that up. So now this is a big screen, so everything is still proper. There's no problem. You can always reduce this, reduce. Okay, we're still all right. So this problem started with 1136, so our nav is misaligned. To fix that up, I'm just going to go to my code and change this width to feed content, and that should fix that. Okay, fine, we are still good for 1136. Now we're going lower, okay. So around 918 or so, we're already having issues with this now. So we want to change to the tablet and mobile from here. So let's just go now to our code. So let me just so let's just go back to our code. Okay, so we're going to say add. So let's just start. We're going to use the media query syntax, which is at media. Then you can specify if you want to use only screen, print, and all of that, but those are not really necessary. You can just go straight um, to declaring your value. So I'm just going to do that and say max width. Max width, that is from the value I'm going to give it, that is I'm going to give it 980 pixel. So from 980 pixel downwards, that means any device screen that is between 0 to 980 pixel will take up these styles. Any style I put inside of here would be affected by any device with the screen between 0 to 980 pixel. So that's what max width works with or works for. So the first thing we want to target now is our nav. So here we want to change the padding to 1 rem, 3 rem, that is 1 rem up and down, 3 rem both sides. Then the logo, reduce we're going to reduce the size, the font size of the logo. So we're going to say logo should be 2 rem. Okay, so you can see that because this particular viewport I'm using right now for this tab is between 0 to 980 pixels, so these styles are taking effect on this screen right now. So font size has been reduced to 2 rem. Next thing we want to do is the menu list, that is the UL for the desktop screen should not be showing, so we want to make that display none. Menu list, we give it a display of none. Okay, so that's gone. The next thing we want to do is the menu, that is the one that we created for mobile and tablet, should now reflect, so that should be display block. Okay, so yeah, it's already here. Now the next thing we want to do is target this icon that we got from Iconify, and to target it, we target with SVG. So we're going to say we want to increase the size of the SVG. We want to increase the size of the SVG. So font size for that is going to be 2rem. Okay, that makes it bigger. That's fine. Then the next one is this. We gave this whole section a class of drop down. So we want to make it display. We want to make it position relative so that this URL can be relative to it. Okay, so that's what we want to do now. So we say dot drop down. We want to make a position relative. So the next thing we want to talk about now is this drop down content that is inside the drop down. So we want to give it a position absolute so that it can be relative to this drop down container. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to say drop down content and make a position absolute. Okay, so that takes it away from the flow of the nav. Okay, so next thing we want to do is position it. So we're going to give it a right. Oh, sorry. Give it a top of 50 pixel. 50 pixel away from the top. Okay. Then we want it minus 45 pixel from the right. What am I doing? So want it right should be minus 45 pixel. Then background color, we are going to be giving it the background color of the nav. That's FE7D6A. Okay. Next thing we want to do is give it a padding of 2rem, then 1rem left and right. Okay. Then the next thing should be flex direction, should be column, so that we can align it properly. So we're going to do flex direction so that we can use align properties on it. So flex direction should be colon, then align items is going to be in the center. Okay, yeah, that's going to center everything. Then we want to give the background an opacity of 0.9 so it doesn't completely cover the background. So yeah, you can see a bit of the back what is behind the background. The next thing we want to do is give it display none, because we don't want it to show all the time until an action is performed. So okay, now before we give it display none, let's okay. So next thing we want to do is target the list inside this drop down content. So we're going to do drop down content, then reference the child li. Okay, we're going to give that a margin top, or rather margin bottom, rather of 1rem, and a padding bottom as well. Of 1rem as well. Padding bottom of 1rem as well. Okay, that looks better. Now here we want to do text align. Let's go back here. We want everything to be in the center. Okay, yeah, that's better. So now next thing we want to do, let's target. Okay, I think that looks good. That looks good. So now we're going to be giving the drop down content a display none because we don't want it to show all the time. So it's not going to be there until an action is performed. Now the action that is going to bring it up is over. So we're just going to say dot drop down over. Okay, drop down content should show. Okay, so let's try that out. Um, okay, this should be correct, sorry, because we used flex direction. So, and this one we want to give it a cursor pointer, yeah. So let's test it out. Okay, yeah, so you can unhover. Let's reduce this to 40. Okay. Okay, then we can change this to width of 30 so it doesn't cover. Okay, yeah, that works now. Okay, so let's move on. We've been able to fix the nav. So the next thing we want to look at is for the top section. How do you want it to look like for mobile phones and tablets? So top section we want to let's reference top section. We want to give top section padding of 2 rem. Okay, then um okay, that's okay for that. Then I think we want to increase the height a bit. Height, let's give it a 60 bh. Yes, that's spaced it out a bit. Now next thing is the about section. Now the about section, we want to change the layout. Okay, so we're going to give it grid template areas. If we go back and look up in the about section, the grid template areas we gave it was first and second. That is, it should be by the side of each other. So we don't want that to happen on this screen because obviously it's not looking good. So we want it to stack on top of each other, and to do that we're just going to say let's enter. Oh, sorry, not that. Okay, so we have first should span all through the two columns, then second should do the same. Then we're going to specify that the grid template columns is 2. That's you use repeat to 1FR. Okay. Next thing we want to do is give it a padding of 2 rem. Yeah. Okay. And that's that for. So we see that for this screen now, everything is already aligning the way it's supposed to align. So that's what media queries can do for you. And just know you don't have to use multiple breakpoints. Okay, just know the point where the contents are misaligning and try to fix it up. That will solve 80% of your problems. The little changes that you're going to be doing will just not be much. So now we're done with this section. And for this screen size, we do not want this flower because it's just going to be obstructing a lot of things. So let's get that away. I used img, so let's just say display none. So we don't want that. Okay, so now we're going to be going to this section, which is the info section. So let's do the info section. We want info section to align the text in it to align to the center. Okay, then the info subsection, that is the container that holds these two, say info subsection. You want to change the grid template areas for this one too. Initially we gave it where is it, info subsection, yeah, we gave it subs main, but now we want subs to span on its own, main should span on its own. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. So let's enter. Then we have, oh sorry, so we have subs, same thing for main. Okay, then specify the grid template columns to be repeat twice in one fraction. Okay, next thing is you want to make it come to the center. I don't even think there's a need for this. So now we want to change the width because initially this was given a width of 30%. That's why it's spanning. That's why it's staying in one corner. So let's just do that. That's sub info. Now let's change the width to 100%, and let's give it a margin. Okay, so it doesn't get so close to margin. Let's give it a 2 rem up and above, and also to center it properly. Okay, yeah, that's looking like it already. And okay, we want to reduce the width of, the font size of the h2 inside sub info. So we're just going to sub info and target the child h2. The font size now should be let's give it 3 rem. Okay, so that reduces it a bit. What's this thing? Okay, so this is looking good already. Imagine this is okay. So input, we want to reduce the size. Oh, it's good like this, I guess. Okay, so for this screen size, I think it looks okay now. Let's try to now inspect it again and see where there are still issues, because definitely that screen size will not solve all of the problems. So going, yeah, okay, it still looks good this way. We're good. Okay, we're still good at 682. Okay, we're still good at 500. Okay. Okay, we're still good all the way to 406. Okay. We're still good here, but this might need a little reducing, so we can just reduce the font size of this. Okay. All right. Okay, now we need to reduce the padding that we gave the nav. We need to add a bit more padding here. Reduce the font size of this one. Okay, reduce the padding here as well, and reduce this one as well, and increase this a bit. So that's just what is left, and we're just going to use that on mobile screens that are lower than. So we're just going to do it on 360. So let's reduce this back. So let's just try to, I'm going to try to reduce it. Oh, it wouldn't reduce. Oh, it can't reduce more than this. So we'll just be checking inspect. And this one cannot reduce. So let's just change um, the layout. Okay, that's fine. Then we can reduce this. And let's just use, yeah, this is 360. So we can see that it's not looking so good on 360. Let's see iPhone 12 Pro. Okay. Okay. Though I feel this can still be fixed. So 390 is still not so good. 414. The same thing 414. This pattern is too much. So I'm just going to pick the font, the mobile breakpoint, which is 480, and we are going to apply these styles for it. So let's just go. So you're going to go below. We're going to go below the first media query. Don't forget that it's always good to use your media queries below the real code that you created for your website, because the media queries would load first. I mean, CSS will recognize the media queries for that particular viewport that you put it, rather than loading the styles that you gave your initial um, styling. So that's why it is better to use media queries below. CSS specificity will take styles that are beneath, that is the most recent style over the one before. So that's why media queries are better below. Okay, so now let's do at media, and let's have our max width. Oh, sorry, max width to be 480 pixels. Then yeah, we can begin to start now. So I'm using the 414 this form for mobile view, that's iPhone XR, to sets for mobiles very well. So the first thing we want to pick up is our nav. We are trying to reduce the padding, so padding is going to change to 1 rem here. Okay. Okay, and sorry, let's just make sure that the style is working. Right now it's not working yet. I don't know why. Let me see that. Okay, let's save this and see. Um, why is it not working? Oh yeah, sorry. Not the nav. Because I was wondering why it wasn't working. Okay, so now our styles are beginning to take effect. So let's bring this back down. Okay. So now the next thing you want to target is the paddings around the about section, top section, and info section. So we're just going to group them like that. For about section, then give it a comma, the info section, not subsection, section, then the top section. I think top section should come first. Then a comma to separate them. Now let's style them together. We are giving them a padding of 1 rem. Okay, since it's also 1 rem, let's just group it with we're just going to group it with the nav. Okay, remember to use a comma. Yes, that works now. Okay, yeah, the paddings have reduced. Now the next thing is we want to target this and reduce the font size a bit. So we're going to do the top section H2, the H2 inside top section. So we want to give it a font size of 2.5 rem. Yeah, that should reduce it a bit. Then we want to increase the height of the top section area. Okay, so let's give it a height of 70 ph. Currently it's on 60 and we want it to be bigger. Yes. Okay, so that when we hover on this it works. So now next thing we want to target is also the P. Okay, we want to reduce the font size as well. So subsection P, font size should be 1 rem. Okay, yeah, that looks better. The next thing we want to check is the sub info, which is here. This one, yeah, we want to reduce the H2. Make it a font size of 2.2 rem. Then also we want to give the input, that is all of this input here. We want to give them a width of 90%. Okay, yeah, so it spans more. Okay, so I think that's it for mobile. So now let's check through every device screen and see if for all of these devices listed here we have a pixel perfect and responsive website. Okay, so Galaxy Note 6, this is a 360, so everything looks prim and proper. Yeah, we're good. Next one is the iPad mini, that's a tablet. Okay, everything looks good here too. iPhone SE, that's a 375, same thing, we're good. XR 414 works well. iPhone 12 Pro, okay, yeah, 390 works well. um Pixel 5, Pixel 5, sorry about that. Yeah, looks good too. The Samsung Galaxy X8, same thing, 360. We checked 360 before. This is 412, yeah, looks good. Um, iPad Air, that's a tablet as well. Okay, looks good. Um, iPad Mini, same thing. It's good. 768, the tablet. Surface Pro, that's 912. Okay, still looks good. 540, all right, looks good. Galaxy Fold, that's 280. Yeah, for this to looks good. Yeah, so we're good then. This is like the smallest, one of the smallest screens. Okay, 412 looks good, and this is the desktop view. It is still good. Okay, so this brings us to the end of media queries and how you can use your breakpoints to achieve um, a nice looking website. So the next thing to finally test if your website is responsive enough. I'm just going to change this back. Okay. So you can test from the biggest screens, which is 2560. Then now go in slowly up till you get to a very small screen. So you can see, even if you did not check some devices, you can see if there's any issue in between here. So as you can see, our contents are aligning per device properly. For screens this small, they are still aligning properly. Okay, I'm sure there's no phone that is this small sharp, but do you understand? Even if you have a phone this small, you have your content aligned properly. So that's what you want to achieve whenever you want to create any website, so it can be accessible to anybody no matter their devices. So thank you and see you in the next lecture. Bye.